Since all of our drawings are created at true size, we can have some pretty large areas to navigate on our tiny computer screen. Fortunately, AutoCAD provides us with the tools necessary for us to quickly move around in these real-world sized environments. The tools I'm speaking of are pan and zoom. To talk about pan and zoom, I'm going to open up another drawing. This time I'm going to open it a little bit different. Let's come up and click on the Open icon in the toolbar, and this will bring up the same Select File dialog. Now, since we're talking about panning and zooming, I'm going to go into the number 3 drawing, Zooming, Panning, and Regen. And now that I've highlighted that guy, I'm going to come down and select Open to open that drawing on screen. Now, this is a drawing of a floor plan for a single-family home. And before we get started with panning and zooming, I want to mention that I'm using a wheel mouse. Okay, I'm using a Microsoft IntelliMouse. I will be using the wheel in order to pan and zoom. For instance, I'd like to zoom in on the kitchen area. So I'm going to move my cursor into the kitchen, and I'm going to roll my wheel forward to zoom in. If I roll my wheel back, I'll zoom out. Okay, in and out. If I want to pan, I will hold my wheel down. Remember that your wheel is also a button. So if I hold the wheel down, I'll get my standard pan icon. And as I move my cursor, I can pan my drawing on screen. Now we can use the pan and zoom features in conjunction. So I can quickly pan and zoom in on this kitchen area. I can roll back, pan over, and zoom in on this bathroom area just by manipulating my wheel. Now, if you don't have a wheel mouse, I would strongly encourage you to get one. But if you don't have one, for right now, we can use the icons at the top of the screen. Let me left click on Pan. This will give me the same hand icon, and I can pan my drawing by holding down my left mouse button and moving my mouse. Likewise, I can zoom by coming up and clicking on the zoom icon. This will put me in the zoom feature, and if I hold down my left mouse button, I can push forward or back on my mouse to zoom in and out. When I'm all done with the command, I can right-click to get out. I want you to notice when I right-click and get the menu, at this point I can also jump back and forth if I wish, or I can select Exit. Let me back up just a little bit. I'd like to zoom in on the Bedroom 2 area. Let's zoom in over here. In Bedroom 2, I have a queen-size bed with a nightstand. And if I zoom in on the nightstand, I can see an MP3 player. And if I zoom in on the screen of the MP3 player, I happen to have a copy of my same floor plan. Let me zoom in the master bath area. Notice as I zoom in on this drawing, the drawing never looks pixelated on screen. That's because AutoCAD drawings are vector-based. That means that the line work that we see is based on calculated coordinates and geometry, not on pixels. That means no matter how close we get to our drawing, the lines are always going to look great. Now there is one exception. If I zoom in on this toilet, notice the toilet looks a little bit angular. Since AutoCAD is vector-based, it's having to constantly reprocess and calculate the geometry we see on screen. That can be taxing on the video card, so AutoCAD will sacrifice the quality of our arcs in order to give us fast pans and zooms. If I want to clean up my arcs, I'm going to use the View pull-down. I'm going to select View, and I'm going to come down to Regen. And this will clean up the arcs on screen. Now, the arcs will always plot correctly. AutoCAD will just sacrifice the quality to speed up our display on screen. Let's zoom out. I'm going to roll my wheel back. And as I zoom out, all of a sudden I hit a point AutoCAD won't zoom out any further. In fact, if we look at the status bar right down here in the corner, as I go to zoom back, AutoCAD is saying already zoomed out as far as possible. Let's try and pan. I'm going to hold my wheel down, and as I pan, notice I get so far and then it's kind of like I'm hitting a brick wall. AutoCAD's not letting me pan anymore. This is also a regen issue. Since AutoCAD is vector-based and it's having to constantly calculate all this geometry, the more panning and zooming I do, the more taxing it gets on the machine, and AutoCAD at some point says, you know what, hold on, let's regen the geometry, and then you can continue to pan and zoom as normal. So I'm going to come up to my View pull down again, and I'm going to select Regen, and now I'm able to pan and zoom. One more feature I want to show you. Let's zoom in on the laundry room. I'm going to roll my wheel in and we'll pan this guy over and center him on the screen. Another nice feature that we have is the ability to do a zoom extents. Sometimes it's nice to be able to quickly back up and see the extents of our drawing. If I'd like to do that, all I have to do is double-click my wheel. If I double-click, AutoCAD will give me a view of the extents of my drawing file. Once again, if you don't have a wheel mouse, let's zoom back in on the laundry room. And let's try and do it a different way. If I go up and launch my zoom command and right-click, zoom extents is at the bottom of the menu. I'll just select zoom extents, I will right-click and select Exit to dismiss the menu. Using Pan and Zoom, I can quickly move around my drawing environment, no matter how large or small that environment may be.